Hey guys, welcome back to Dynasty Football Live. Today, we're bringing you the big bad AFC West division rankings. With that being said, I'm going to let my co-host Manny get to the bottom of this division, and we're going to work our way to the top. So with that being said, Manny, who do we have in last place in the big bad AFC West?
All right. I don't think there's any surprise here, at least for me. I think the Raiders for me are going to be at the bottom. They just have a lot of questions regarding the quarterback position. Jimmy G's injury or whatnot. They have Brian Hoyer there, but if he has to play, they're definitely getting last. Josh Jacobs and many other elite running backs are going through contract situations currently. That kind of scares me as far as, is he going to play? Or if he does play, is he going to play a little bit different than maybe if he had a long-term deal? So just based on those two key factors, for me, the offense is kind of, for a lack of a better word, screwed. Even though they do have a good wide receiver core with Adams and Mayers and Renfro, and obviously the rookie tight end, Michael Mayer, which they actually have a pretty decent tight end room. Austin Hooper there, OJ Howard, who hasn't quite lived up to the hype from Alabama. But I think if you're struggling at running back or quarterback for any reason, especially this late into the game, it's just not a good sign for that team. The defense, I think it could be fantasy wise. We might see a lot of sacks from this defense. And because of that pressure that Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, and Tyree Wilson are going to be providing, that's going to kind of help out some of the guys in the back end of the secondary. And maybe they'll be a better fantasy defense than they have been in the past. For me, for sure, Raiders are last, no question.
Oh, absolutely. There's too much talent at the top of this division for the Raiders to make it to the top. Jimmy G, I like how he's been able to take teams to the playoffs, but I think this one is going to be a little bit harder than the past. I know he's got Devontae Adams. He's got it doesn't help that Jacobs is pissed that he's a franchise tag player and can possibly hold out, but we'll see. With that being said, I'm agreeing with you. Las Vegas Raiders are dead last in this division. So I'm going to get to our third place team here in the AFC West. And for me, I'm still not bought into the Denver Broncos. So that's my pick. I think Sean Payton was a nice add. Russell Wilson working out in the offseason is definitely a good sign. There's still some question marks with Javonte Williams. I have never been a believer in Jerry Jeudy. Sorry, guys. I know you're going to beat me over the head with a hammer on that one. But the guy just has not done what he was supposed to do. I mean, and when they don't do what they're supposed to do, how are you going to believe into a player? I mean, how are you going to get the courage to say, man, I believe in this guy? For me, Cortland Sutton's been 10 times better than him. So, prove me wrong, Denver Broncos. I'm a guy that you need to show me before I can believe in what you're doing. So, and the top two teams in this division they got better in the draft. The Broncos did not get better in the draft, in my opinion. There's questions around Javonte Williams. Is he going to be healthy? There's just too many question marks. So for me, it's Denver Broncos here in third place.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. And I think it's actually going to be a little bit closer. Probably. With the 2 and 3 spot, but it's going to be the Chargers. And honestly, I'm just not a huge believer, off their new offensive coordinator. What's his name? Kellen Moore. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it kind of fits his scheme. Kind of fits what they do, I guess, in a way. Which is throw a lot. there's something about the Chargers that, you want to root for them. They have the coolest uniforms in the NFL, probably with the powder blues, but they just, for some reason, just find ways not to get over the hump. And I think that continues. And I think the Broncos, well, I'm not going to talk too much about the Broncos, but I just think, like I said, it could be close. But for me, the Chargers just take a step, maybe they take a step forward, but the Broncos take a little couple more steps forward. So for me, it's going to be the Chargers. Obviously, Justin Herbert. Let's see if he can elevate this and take him to the next level. I could be just eating my words at the end of the year with how talented he is. They do have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and obviously the addition of Quentin Johnston and obviously last year's rookie Palmer. Eckler's probably one of the most underrated running backs. Even though he's getting some love now, he's probably one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. Gerald Everett's kind of like,
Yeah.
I think he had a lot of potential to be better than he is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I like that take. I think it could flip flop, man. I think it's all gonna be on Russell's back again, man. I mean, this whole team is on Russell and Sean Payton. So for me, and the emergence, hopefully, of all you Jerry Judy truthers out there. Let's get into second place here. Justin Herbert, baby. You're gonna be runner up again. Sorry, you don't. It's not that you don't have the talent. It's just you're not Patrick Mahomes, and no one is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is, if God created a quarterback for this new generation in the NFL, he blessed this man with the ability to be the new face of the NFL, and that's very hard to do. It's hard to be the face of the NFL and continue to produce. So for me, the runner-up, I can't go over the Super Bowl champs here, man. I've got to say that Justin Herbert, especially how far they were ahead in their first playoff game, is since I don't know how long it's been, but you lost to the Jaguars, guys. You were up freaking 27-0 at halftime. It's almost. It reminds me of when the Texans had Mahomes on the ropes and he came back and they just destroyed us in the second half. So that wasn't a good sign. They were playing incredible defense that whole game. The Chargers had it in the bag and they let the Jags come back and beat them. It's just, if you can't beat the Jags, you can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I mean, that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm not discrediting the Chargers. I do think they're going to be back in the dance this year. I'm with you. I think they had some pretty good additions in the offseason to improve that elderly, wide receiver core there. And, Keenan Allen, he still can produce. But like I said, Chargers are going to be in the dance more than likely. But second place is where they're going to be in this division.
Yeah, I think for me, going back to what you said, I think that losing a game like that in the playoffs, it just does something to you, It's kind of like, and I'm not, obviously, they didn't go to the Super Bowl, so I'm not comparing this to, the Super Bowl hangover and losing the Super Bowl, and a lot of teams struggle. Obviously, the Bengals did not do that last year, but, a lot of teams struggle after losing the Super Bowl, and I think having the game in the bag and losing the way they did is just does something to you. And I don't know if they're mentally tough to get over that hump, which is why I had them third. But for me, second is going to be the Broncos. I really think, and I'm not a huge Wilson guy by any means, but I think what he did with Seattle is not a mistake. It wasn't the system; it was him. I think he has worked really hard in the offseason, and you can tell it looks like he lost 20, 30 pounds. So I think we might see the old Russell. Javonte Williams, he's coming back from a tough injury, and he might not be quite ready to go, but I think Samaje Perine was a great addition in the offseason. And I think if Williams is not ready to go, I think Perine, it can definitely, carry the load there. They also have Tyler Beatty, which is a really underrated running back. And I agree partially with you on Judy. I think if, when we see someone, for example, and I know it's, you can have a lot of excuses about why you don't produce, but when you have a receiver like Garrett Wilson do what he did with Zach Wilson, Flacco, and White at quarterback, and they have that kind of elite performance through the rookie year. I know he hasn't had a lot of good quarterbacks, and even when he did with Russell Wilson, it still did not, even though he did kind of finish strong, but we would have seen if he was going to be the guy. I think we would have seen it by now. That doesn't mean he can't turn it around and take the next step. But I agree with you, man. I think when you have it, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is.
No.
So for me, they do have a very talented wide receiver core, very deep. They added Marcus Callaway from the Saints. They have KJ Hamler, who's kind of a speedster, hasn't been able to stay healthy, and obviously they drafted Marvin Mims, which I thought was a reach, but I mean, you can't teach speed, and that's what he has. I think Greg Dulcich probably is going to be kind of a breakout candidate as far as tight ends go. But I guess it all depends on Wilson, and I'm hoping. I guess it might be a hot take that, for me, they finished second. But I think considering what their defense is capable of with all the weapons they have on the defensive side of the ball, it's not going to take much for them to be on the second or even push to. I mean, I don't think they'll push the Chiefs, but I mean, they could if they get their act together on the opposite side of the ball. So for me, second place is going to be the Broncos.
Yep. Like I said, these two teams could flip flop. I like your take there. I think that the Chargers. I'm sorry, man, but I think Herbert is pissed off about that loss so much that it's going to push him to really being Patrick Mahomes' ass this year, bro. Like it's not that Herbert don't have the weapons, bro. He's got an elite running back. He's got 3-4 wide receivers that can get the job done. He's got the offensive line. I mean, this dude can get it done. And everyone's forgetting also about, in Dynasty, about Isaiah Spiller. We haven't seen what he could do yet. If that guy emerges, we might be looking at like a Dallas Cowboy type backfield, so when they had Zeke and Pollard. So that's just where I'm at. So who is the division winner, Manny? Who's the division winner, and who is it, man? I mean, this is a big surprise, right?
Yeah, big surprise. Chiefs, of course. I think we've been talking about Patrick Mahomes, how elite he is and how elite he has been. And I don't think that's going to change unless, God forbid, there's some kind of injury for this season, like a serious injury. I don't see that changing. I think the Chiefs are going to win it easily. I think them finding Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round that was ridiculous. I think he's going to have a very, very, very good year. And I think the only question that we could possibly have regarding their team, at least in the offensive side of the ball, has to be the wide receiver position. They have a lot of younger guys who haven't quite done anything really. Richie James kind of did good with the Giants, but I mean, he's already 27. He's definitely not going to be the number 1 or 2 or even 3. Tony has the best chance out of all of them, kind of to be just based on what you hear from training camp. OTAs. Sky Moore last year, I think he had kind of the perfect situation to come in and be a key contributor. He didn't do that. And, when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, I don't know how you don't do that. It's kind of the opposite of Judy. If you're the guy, you're gonna make plays regardless of quarterback. But if you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, there's no way you're not making plays. If you're not, maybe he is, but I don't think. I mean, right now he's not. MVS. I just haven't seen enough. And let's see what happens for Rashee Rice. I mean, I think him coming out of SMU was he's one of my favorite receivers as far as size, speed combo. Got great hands, very good contested catch, very well-rounded wide receiver. Let's see if he can do what Sky Moore couldn't do last year. And obviously, a lot of hype with Justin Ross, with all the injuries and all the setbacks coming out of Clemson. We'll see what happens there. And obviously, let's not forget about Travis Kelce. So for me, obviously, Chiefs number one, no question about it. Even with the questions at wide receiver last year and this year,
Yeah.
there's no way they don't finish first. And their defense is underrated, I think. They're not the Broncos defense, obviously, but they're definitely very, very capable. And they don't need to be elite because they have a team, a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, but they definitely have a good, they have a solid secondary. They have a great defensive line with led by Chris Jones. And let's not forget linebacker. When you have a rookie like Nick, or well, it's not a rookie anymore, but when you have a guy who performed like he did as a rookie, Nick Bolton, they at least have one difference maker at every level of the defense, and they probably have more. So for me, absolutely Chiefs, unless something crazy happens injury wise.
Yeah. I mean, we all know who it is. It's the Chiefs. That's where I'm at on my division winner here for the AFC South. This is the closest thing I've seen.
AFC West.
Oh, yeah. AFC West. Sorry, guys. I'm a Texas fan. Hey, but yeah, closest thing I've seen since Tom Brady at quarterback. I mean, this guy, Josh Allen learned the hard way when you put the ball in Mahomes' hands that the game ain't over with 30 seconds on the clock. I mean, that's the type of quarterback that the Chiefs have. And barring injury, the Chiefs, nothing's changing, man. They're going back. They ain't losing, man. They're dominant. They get it done. The guy can just win football games, and partially, I'm not going to discredit this guy because this guy is a GOAT. He's on my top of the Mount Rushmore now for tight ends. He's past Gronkowski. Travis Kelce, right? I mean, dude just does not get the credit he deserves. I mean, he does. Everyone knows who Travis Kelce is, but God dang, man, I ain't never seen a tight end that could just completely take over a game like that, dude. So, guys, they're just unstoppable. Until one of those guys slows down. I mean, these guys lost Tyreek Hill for God's sakes and still won the freaking Super Bowl with just, I'm not going to say mediocre. I would say they're above mediocre talent at wide receiver. But if the Chiefs would have went and got Hopkins, we all know that Hopkins went to the Titans, but I felt like that was a no-brainer for the Chiefs to go get him, to give Patrick Mahomes like that true. It kind of like reminded me of when they gave Tom Brady, for God's sakes, Randy Moss. Like if you give a guy with hands like Hopkins and put him in front of the best quarterback in the league, holy shit, dude. You're talking about an unstoppable force. But I guess they say, hey, Travis Kelce's this good, Mahomes is this good, Pacheco's this good. We can do with what we have with Tony, Sky Moore, and Rashee Rice and all these guys, MVS. They don't have a bad group of wide receivers, but let's be honest, they don't have a cream of the crop group at wide receiver.
They definitely don't have an alpha unless Tony becomes that, or Sky Moore, or Rashee Rice, or someone.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that. But hey, guys, that's our AFC West division rankings. You got anything before I break us out here, Manny?
Yeah, I think it was kind of interesting what you said about the Chargers, and you kind of brought it up when you were talking about them, and I'm very interested to see kind of what their mentally toughness and what they're made of, especially for those guys who were on that team last year and the way their season ended. Mm-hmm. So that's why I picked them third. I think I'm full of hot takes lately. Someone called us crazy. We're on drugs. So one of our comments. So we're not, but I guess maybe our takes are too hot. But yeah, that's it.
Hey guys, as always, okay, don't do drugs. Okay. That will never get you on Dynasty Football Live, okay, if you do drugs. We don't do drugs here, nor do we condone people that do drugs. But hey guys, as always, I'm gonna take us out like I always do. And we love the comments. So you guys keep on commenting. It ain't gonna break this show because we're gonna keep rolling and we're gonna keep bringing you the heat. As
Good
always.
and bad. Good and bad
Yeah.
comments. Doesn't
Hey,
matter.
hey, hey, bring them in, baby, because we love the heat. As always, guys, Dynasty Football out.